Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gillian Hepburn from Schroders, and welcome to the 9th podcast from the Diversity Project. And this comes from the Gender Workstream, where we explore a range of themes and consider how to encourage women in particular to join our industry. However, everybody is welcome. All previous podcasts are available on the website and also on Spotify. Quite cool, really. And last month we had a great session considering flexible working and whether our industry truly embraces this. We also identified how the pandemic has influenced change and the importance that employees are now placing on flexibility when they're selecting an employer. It was a great conversation, so do listen to that if you get a chance. Today we're looking at a completely different topic. We're looking at mentoring. What is it? What are the benefits? How do you find a mentor? How can a good mentor help? And lots more. So who's in the virtual studio with me today? I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Emma Douglas and Scarlett Hilson-Wheeler. Emma is a responsible investment consultant at LCP and co-leads the Diversity Project's Early Careers Workstream. We'll hear more about how she and her team have set up a work experience and mentoring programme to help over 200 students from less advantaged backgrounds through a partnership with the Diversity Project and the social mobility charity Upreach. Scarlett is currently a student at Exeter University, but she's got lots of experience of both mentoring and being mentored. So I think we're in for a really interesting discussion. Emma, let's start with you. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your background and your route to financial services?
Sure. Thank you very much for having me on this today. Really delighted to be here to be discussing mentoring, both with Scarlett as well. So quick background. I graduated with a maths and French degree, had a year abroad teaching English in Paris. To be honest, I had no clear career path in mind, but my enjoyment of maths led me into the world of finance. Always wanted to kind of do what I enjoy, and I have the philosophy that, you know, if you enjoy what you're doing, you will be successful. So having that passion, I think, is really important. And I guess mine is all about wanting to help change the investment landscape, with encouraging a more responsible allocation of capital and, you know, climate considerations, social factors, all being integrated into your investment decision making. But similarly, co-leading the Diversity Project's Early Careers Workstream, I'm really passionate about helping create a more inclusive culture in the investment industry. So that's all led me to where I am today. Will no doubt shape my future journey, but I'm very grateful to have had lots of great role models along the way, peers, mentors, helping me kind of navigate my own path.
Fab, that's great. I always love to hear the backstories of everybody that comes on the podcast because, often we've got here by accident rather than by design. And I think it's important to stress that this industry is open to people from a whole range of diverse backgrounds and qualifications and access routes. So I also think it's really interesting. So thank you for sharing that, Emma. Scarlett, what's your story and why do you think mentoring is important?
No worries. Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction and nice to see everyone. Thanks for having me. My name's Scarlett and I'm a current maths student at the University of Exeter. I also do a bit of Spanish as well, similar to Emma. It was nice to do a language to kind of have a break from equations and things like that. So I've always kind of been like passionate about just kind of creating and fulfilling opportunities for myself wherever I am or kind of wherever I go. So I kind of try and get involved with everything. And through that, I've had lots of different kind of levels of support, whether that is mentoring or being a part of Upreach and kind of being one of the 200 people that this project has like helped to kind of develop my skills and things. So I've kind of been involved with all that kind of stuff, and it's really been vital in kind of getting me where I am today here talking to you guys. So I was always very grateful for that, and I think I've tried to give back by mentoring other people kind of through various charities or at my university. So I'm a big kind of advocate for mentoring. I love it. I think it's really good, and hopefully you guys will learn a bit more about it today.
Brilliant, and we'll hear more from you in a minute or two about your experiences. Emma, let's start by talking about investment springboard. Can you give us some insight into what this is?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's great having Scarlett as our real life evidence of how successful it's been. It's great. Um, it's a Investment Springboard is a work experience and mentoring program designed to help university students from underrepresented backgrounds start hopefully a very successful career in the investment industry. So it's run by Upreach, they're a social mobility charity, and also in partnership with the Diversity Project. So students benefit from both an industry mentor and an Upreach program coordinator. And we think this combination together works really well. You've got the industry mentor providing the more technical, investment focused insights. You can discuss your topical issues, what's going on in the economy, or specific role information, whatever it might be, those crucial networks, whilst the Upreach program coordinator is more of the general support, pastoral support, how to do your CV applications really effectively. Not to say they both can't do both, but just having those two touch points, I think, is even better than just having the one.
Yeah, that sounds like a really lovely combination, actually. And one of the things we'll cover later on is thinking about the different types of mentors that we might want to access and how they can deliver us, I guess, different experiences that will give us some benefit. Scarlett, having been on the programme, how do you find the mentoring and the support that you've had from Upreach?
Yeah, of course, definitely. So just kind of touching what Emma was saying about like the dual approach, I think that's been really helpful because you kind of, have two different touch points and they can both offer completely different advice, which is really good. And it causes me to think, which I like. And definitely as well, you also have kind of the community of other associates and people like me that are part of the program. And I think there's always a bit of a mentoring relationship between them. So I've made really good friends who are kind of on a similar journey to me, which has been really nice. So we can kind of advise each other on how things should kind of be and different bits of advice and stuff like that. But I also think just the program in general, like I really couldn't like praise it enough. I love it. Like I'm always shouting about it and telling people who have just joined uni to get involved if they can. I think it's helped me in so many ways, like genuinely like my own development, but also in terms of kind of professional skills, how to kind of conduct myself in a workplace, how to like write a cover letter. I didn't really know how to do that before. I was a bit confused. And I think having an industry mentor has been really beneficial in like helping me with applications, cover letters, CVs, how to kind of use LinkedIn, because it's slightly more tailored to what I want to do in the future. So I'm really grateful for all that kind of help. Also as well, through the program, I've been able to do, like Emma was saying earlier, like work experience, things like that. And obviously I'd never actually been in an office before I joined the program. So that was really helpful because now it's less shocking when I'm going to start working because I know actually how to like conduct myself in an office. So yeah, honestly, it's been amazing. I'll stop talking and go on.
No, that's okay, fire away. The offices aren't too scary on us. I'm actually in one today. It's lovely being back, seeing people face to face. And sounds like you're a massive advocate for the programme. So thank you for sharing that. Emma, let's take a step back here. What do we actually think we mean by mentoring?
Yeah, I think this is really interesting and also a very difficult question to answer. Naturally, I went to Google to see what that could tell me first of all, because the dictionary definition, it states that a mentor is an experienced or trusted advisor. But I actually think it's much more to that. More than that, it's, yes, they provide you with advice, but they're also there to just listen to you, to be that friendly face or support when you need it. Just knowing that someone's there you can go to that will back you can be helpful enough. My personal opinion, I don't think we should be thinking of mentors as solely as that teacher kind of role. They're more of a sounding board, they're a guide, someone to help challenge yourself, rather than telling you what is right for you. Only you will know that. And it's something I have to remind myself as a mentor, that I'm not there to tell them what to do. I'm another perspective. So
So maybe we need to rewrite the dictionary definition, yeah, because it does sound a little bit one way, doesn't it? But Scarlett, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, definitely. No, I couldn't agree more. I do think the dictionary one does maybe need a bit of editing.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, it definitely is important to remember it's a two-way kind of experience for both of you. You both can learn a lot. So for me, in like simple terms, I'd just say it's the exchange or kind of discovery of new information kind of about yourself or about something, and it's kind of sparked by someone else, kind of like they flick the dominoes and then now it's going on and they're all falling over. So I think that's how I'd kind of describe it. And it's important to remember that it doesn't have to be kind of formal or like really serious or kind of strict. It can just be quite like a chilled conversation. It's not a suit and tie affair all the time. So I think it's important to realize and have like an open mind about it. You can find mentoring kind of in all aspects of everyday life, not just at work. It could be in your leisure time. You could be at a bus stop and someone does something and you're like, oh, actually, I could maybe approach something else like that. So I think, just keep your eyes open and just kind of, have an open mind about it.
So I think what we're saying here is a bit more of a two-way process, isn't it? I mean, I know certainly when I work with people in the office here, particularly young people, I have to say that I learn loads as well. So as somebody, who works across the piece, I think we can all learn and mentor each other. So I think there's benefits for both parties, those that are mentoring and those that are mentees. Not that I'm a fan of that word either, but there you go. Emma, Scarlett talked a little bit about almost mentoring being kind of regular or ad hoc and almost, do we need to maybe have a contract in place? But what do you think works? What's your views on this one?
Yeah, I think it really just depends on the pairing. It's important to establish from the outset what's going to work for you both.
Yeah.
Some people do like the structured meetings, there's set times each month and an agenda. What are we going to cover? What are our aims and objectives? Great. But others do prefer a more kind of casual approach. You get in touch when and as needed. And that's fine as well. They're both very valuable. It's just important to discuss it up front. Similar to any kind of relationship, you both need to be on the same page, otherwise you're going to come into difficulties later on. So I think with Investment Springboard, we have set it up slightly more formally with expectations and on both sides, just so it's not on the student to do that from the outset. If we do it, both parties are already on the same page. And the idea is you just get the most out of it. But again, all sorts of mentoring is very valuable.
Yeah, so I think what we're saying is it can be really flexible. And sometimes maybe that's, the best way to approach it. But for some people, having something a bit more structured and regular also works for them. Yeah. Scarlett, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you guys on that one. I think it's so important to kind of establish like the needs and wants of all parties like right at the beginning, but then it's also important to realize that can change. Like people's schedules might, I don't know, become a bit busier and stuff. So kind of having that flexibility and being kind of open to kind of compromise and stuff. Because since I joined like the program, it's the first time I ever had like a professional mentor, so I didn't really know how busy their schedules were. So that kind of highlights how I had to be a bit of like compromising, and also just does highlight how the program has been able to kind of connect me with people that I wouldn't have had the chance to network with otherwise. So I think that kind of highlights a few things.
So and obviously you've had a lot of experience, Scarlett, in being mentored, if I could call it that. What do you think makes a good mentor, or indeed maybe a poor mentor?
So for me, obviously everyone's different. I prefer kind of like regular contact, so keep it short and sweet but quite regular. So the best mentoring relationship I had was literally a 15-minute call at the same time every week, and then we just had a catch up, managed to kind of cram in a lot of kind of useful stuff in that 15 minutes, and it worked really well. And then obviously if I had kind of any follow-up stuff, they were more than happy to kind of converse over email. So I think that worked best for me, but I understand that's not going to be good for everyone. I think another thing that makes a really good mentor is the same way we was talking about that exchange of information and how it's a two-way kind of exchange, really. I think them being honest as well and kind of opening up is quite nice. Obviously, not saying they have to be kind of your counselor or anything like that, but like if they kind of are honest and just kind of like organic with what they're saying as well, you can kind of relate a bit more. So I think that breaks down any barriers that you might kind of face, like, oh, they're quite a senior position, I'm a bit scared to ask them this. If it's kind of very honest, it would work good.
Yeah, great advice there. Emma, what do you think are the kind of the key benefits of mentoring?
Oh, I mean, Scarlett's touched on quite a lot, but there are just so many. I think one of the best things I find is having your own network of champions. So whether they're more senior, more junior to you, but just people who champion you in your career or life.
Sure.
I think we all need to be mindful that every industry is very small. Each week I come across new people who are friends of colleagues or whatever. And the more people we know, our own networks expand exponentially, can be so helpful for new introductions, new opportunities, new business wins in the future. So I think just being mindful of that throughout. And then going back to what Scarlett was saying about peer mentoring, essentially having that upreach cohort is fantastic, because you're all at the same stage. You're going to go off and do amazing things in the future. And those networks are going to be so important. And I don't think, from a personal perspective, I've had my own peer networks throughout, and I wouldn't have got through all my professional exams without it. So
I completely agree. Peer mentoring and having that broad network is just fantastic, and always not quite people on speed dial, but for those ad hoc times where you just need to bounce something off somebody, get a bit of feedback, have a discussion. You can't beat it. And
that's the kind of more informal side of mentoring.
Sure.
And Gillian, you were telling us when we had our kind of prep call how you kind of were a mentor and you didn't even realize.
I did actually. Thank you for highlighting it. I'd been nominated for a mentoring award, and my first reaction was, I don't mentor anybody. And then fantastic. I realized that I actually did, but I suppose I was thinking of mentoring in a more formal, setting up a meeting with somebody and mentoring them, which is kind of what we used to do, if I dare say it, in the old days. That's how we thought of mentoring. And then suddenly I realized that there was lots of people that you phone me or contact me. I'm always happy to have a coffee and a chat and share my experience. So suddenly, I clearly must be a mentor. So it was a wake-up call. But it's and speaking of mentors and women, do you think that women prefer female mentors? Have you got a view?
I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to mentoring. I've had some great female and male mentors along the way.
Sure.
I think what's important is having, someone you relate to, can learn from. We all need different types of mentors. I try to collect different ones along the way. There's the one I go to for technical questions, the one I go to when I need more moral support or help in navigating any tricky political situations.
Sure.
The people who've helped me survive through my exams. But having that different perspective is useful. If I talk about investment springboard, sorry to keep banging on about it.
You're all right, go for it.
What we did, so in our first year of running the program, naturally there is a slight drop-off rate, but we were really delighted that there was only a small proportion, less than 5% were dropping off. So I've got a small sample size, but it was higher proportion of females. Okay. And I wanted to establish why. Is there something about the industry? Is it something about the program? Can I do something to stop this? Because personally, I want more females in the industry.
Yeah, and that's what we're about on this podcast, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So looked into it, did some kind of face-to-face meetings with the students to understand their perspectives. And then there wasn't really a clear theme, but I thought generally, how about, we trial all the females having a female mentor? Is that going to make a difference? And actually looking at the statistics this year, again, it is a very small sample size, but it has made an improvement.
Okay.
So I think there is something in it that just having those role models, females,
Sure.
in the industry, you know, how have they dealt with meetings where all the men are there and they're just talking about football. It could be something basic, but I think sometimes it does help.
Yeah, that's a really interesting observation, actually. But maybe it's a case then for women thinking about joining the industry of looking at having, you know, a female mentor and male mentors. I know in, you know, my career, I've worked with both, and I suppose it's about mentoring and having a mentor for different things, and we've talked a bit about that. Scarlett, when did you start working with a mentor? Because I think often we think, oh no, you don't need a mentor until you've been in the industry for a good few years, and I don't think that's the case. What's your experience of this?
Yeah, so I think I first started maybe having a mentor kind of during A levels, I think, and it was kind of someone was really helpful in kind of mentoring me through like the UCAS application, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
So that's when it kind of officially started. But once I got to uni, it became a bit more about industry professional mentoring, just because I'm trying to think, what do I actually want to do with the rest of my life? And I think that's where I really started to take it a bit more seriously, and it became a bit more of like a regular thing, a bit more formal and stuff. And I think it was just super helpful, because you know, sometimes when you go to like open days or talks by employers and stuff, they kind of say, oh, this is what our company does, but I'm like, do you really do that? Like, am I going to be doing that? So I think it was really awesome to have like a mentor who could kind of describe to me what their day looked like, and then I could actually get a feel for, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing. Okay, can you help me apply to do that? So I think that's been really good in terms of just like commercial awareness and finding out what a job is actually like. So that's when it really started. And then I started mentoring others last year, so my third year of uni, just because I felt I was a bit at a place where I could help in certain areas, which has been nice. So hopefully that keeps going well, but it's going nice at the minute, so that's good.
Brilliant. So some real lessons there, that you're never too young to have a mentor, and you're never too young to be a mentor, I think.
100.
Scarlett, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so I did an internship in the summer, and it was really cool because I kept getting emails sent through, and it was something called a reverse mentoring relationship, which I thought was really cool. So it was someone who was really senior, was looking for new people, interns like me, to kind of help them out. And I was like, oh, that's
absolutely.
Nice.
And you're right, as an industry and an investment industry, we need to make sure that we're engaging with customers as well, of all ages. So that's why it's important for people like me working in sort of proposition development to think about, you know, how do we continue to engage young people in the industry, either as a career or for investment, you know, and therefore working with them and understanding them really does help. How did you go about then, Scarlett, kind of finding a mentor? And did you need to be in the same industry, or are there benefits of somebody out with the industry?
Yeah, so I feel like the first one at school happened very kind of naturally, because it was my maths teacher, so I wanted to apply for maths, and naturally that's kind of how that relationship developed. The next one was at uni through this program, so that's how I got my foot in the door really with anyone who was from an industry. If it wasn't for the program, I'm not too sure how I would have found someone. I think my university does have various things, but I didn't really know about them at that point. So it's definitely the program that helped me with that. I think it depends with regard to, do they need to be from your industry? In some cases, I think it's obviously very beneficial. Like, it's perfect to have someone who's in the investment industry if I want to make applications to the investment industry, because they're going to know what you need to look out for and that sort of thing. But I don't think it's a limitation if you have a mentor who's not from your industry, because I think it can provide a new kind of perspective to what you're looking at, and they might know some other stuff that could be helpful. But I do equally think, say you kind of, I don't know, you have a mentor and then, I don't know, you find out you want to swap industries or something.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to sometimes have a discussion and say, look, I don't really think it's going to work from now on, but let's just stay friends. Like, we can be friends and stuff. So I think it's important to realize at some points, maybe when it's not working, or if it served this purpose and it's time to kind of start a new relationship in a mentoring way with someone else.
You know what, that's actually a really good point, isn't it? How do you end a mentoring relationship when it's not really working? Emma, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Oh, I think it's such a good point. I think if you're feeling it, the other person's going to be feeling it as well.
Yeah, it's a good
And
shout.
normally it's mutual. It's the same with any kind of relationship you might be in.
You're right.
Normally most people know it, and you both do together. So as Scarlett said, just actually being nice about it and actually saying it, it's probably a better way than letting it fizzle out.
Yeah, absolutely. Both agreeing it's run its course, and you need to work with somebody different. Yeah. I'm very conscious we've just got about 5 minutes to go here, and I always like to end with a question. So I'm going to ask each of you, what are your sort of top tips on mentoring, specifically for the audience listening today? Scarlett, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so we did kind of cover it earlier, but just want to kind of highlight it. Definitely have an introductory meeting where you all kind of lay your cards on the table, know about each other's schedule, what you both want to get from it. And I think that just kind of starts everything off on the right foot. I think my next one, it kind of touches a bit on what we were saying now about when it's kind of run its course or is fizzling out. Say like you're maybe on a mentoring kind of like program like I was for say 6 months or 12 months. Just because the 12 months ends, that doesn't mean you've kind of got to stop talking to that person. You can kind of still keep it sweet, have like a good relationship, keep it on good terms and stuff. So don't just kind of, I don't know, just take like everything they've given you and just say, bye, see you later. Like you still want to be a nice human. You obviously got on with them. So making sure you do make an effort to kind of stay in contact. I think that's important. And my last one as well is, I've had this a lot with my mentors when I'm like conversing with them and stuff. I do try and ask, even if it's just out of politeness, because there's not that much I can do to help them, but I do just say, oh, if there's ever anything I can do for you, please do let me know. Like I think just saying, oh, if there is any way I can help, then I'm more than happy to, is quite an important and nice thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of tips there. Emma, what about yourself?
I think they're really good, great points, Scarlett. Mine are probably on the similar vein, that establish what you want to get out of each mentoring relationship from the outset, whatever it might be. Accumulate your mentors along the way. As Scarlett said, you don't have to axe them as you go along. There's room for more than one.
Good point there. Yeah. And
final one is probably one that I need to work on as well, that don't ever feel like a burden to your mentor. They are giving up a lot of time to speak with you and help you, but also realize that you have lots to offer to them as well. So even if you haven't spoken to your mentor or someone who helped you previously a couple of years ago, say, I think they'd probably appreciate you reaching out and saying how well you've done since, for example.
Yeah,
I always like hearing from people who I've helped in the past, perhaps.
You're absolutely right there, because then as a mentor, you feel that you're getting something out of it as well. I mean, obviously the relationship you learn as well, but it's really nice to hear that you've helped somebody on their journey. So I think that last point is really good, isn't it? So look, thanks so much for joining me today. I thought it was a great topic for us to cover, because it's really important that if there's young women on this call thinking about joining the industry, that they'll feel supported and that there's places that they can go to find support and mentoring and help. So I think it's a great topic for us to cover. And thanks to everybody also for listening in today. Apologies, we had some slight technical hitches at the start of this podcast, but hopefully you've stuck with us, and if not, then you can listen on the download. If anybody's listening today and would like to know more about the investment springboard, so either how to be part of it or how to actually take part as a mentor, then do watch out for the post that will follow up on LinkedIn from today, and that will have some links in it that you can access, or just get in touch with the Diversity Project. There's always people that are happy to help and give you information. The next podcast will take place on the 29th of October, and I'm going to be joined by two fantastic guests and to talk about the power of networking. So a kind of linked topic in many respects to what we've covered today, and I'm absolutely looking forward to that one. So all that's left for me to say, thanks again to the guests, thanks to you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Bye.